Okay, fifth graders, today we're working on adding fractions with unlike denominators. We've been working towards it for a while, but here we go. If it's if it's tricky for you, just give it a good try, and we'll keep working on it in class. First day, and we'll be working on this for a couple of weeks. So you can see an example up here of 1/3 plus 1/6. They found their least common multiple was 6, and then they changed 1/3 to 2/6 so that they have that same common denominator. Once those two are the same, then they can add, and so 2/6 plus 1/6 is 3/6, and 3/6 is the same as 1/2. So here we go with this one, and I'm looking for a common denominator between 6 and 12. If I want to do a least common multiple in my big potatoes that we talked about first trimester, where we did a 12 and a 6, and we were looking for least common multiple. And we came up with 12 as our common multiple. So in this case, we're going to make 12 our common denominator. This one is already 12. I don't need to do anything to it. This one, I'm going to multiply it by something to get it over 12, because I want it to have that same denominator. 6 times something will be 12. In this case, we're going to do 2. 6 times 2 is 12, and then I'm going to do 4 times 2 is 8. Remember, if this is 2, then the top one also has to be 2. So now I've got 2 12ths. I'm going to rewrite it over here. 2 12ths plus 8 12ths will equal 10 12ths. Now, it's okay to leave it like that for now, but as you get older, you're going to need to make sure, actually as we get on in the trimester, you're going to need to learn how to reduce them. So I'm going to show you right now, and we've talked about it in class, how to reduce them. Just divide them both by 2 in this case, and you get 5/6 for this one. But if you left it as 10 12ths, I wouldn't mark it wrong right now. Next one. We're going to do big potatoes if you need to. Think of some least common multiples between 8 and 4, and I think you'll figure out that it's 8. Since this one is already 8, we don't need to do anything with it. This one, we're going to multiply it by something that will give us a denominator of 8, so we have that common denominator. 4 times 2 will equal 8, and if I do 2 here, I need to do 2 here. 1 times 2 is 2. So now I'm ready to add it up. I'm going to just rewrite it. 4 8s plus 2 8s equals 6 8s. And that again is one where I can divide them both by 2. See you tomorrow, Evan. And if I divide them both by 2, I get 3/4 as an answer. Now, these are a lot of steps. I know some of you in class today already knew that 1/4 and 2 8s were equal fractions. If that's the case, you don't need to do the times 2 if you already know it. Alright, this one, common denominator, will be 10. And I can write times 2 over 2. 5 times 2 is 10, 3 times 2 is 6. And then I can add 6/10 plus 2/10 and get 8/10. And if I want to divide them both by 2, I can get 4/5 for a reduced fraction. This one, common denominator, will be 9. 3 times 3 will equal 9. And again, if I do it to the bottom, I need to do it to the top. 3 times 1 is 3. And then I have 3 9ths plus 3 9ths will equal 6 9ths. And if I want to reduce them, divide them both by 3 again and get, let's see, 2/3. There we get 2/3 for a reduced one. If I divide them both by 3, it's okay to just leave it at 6 9ths if that's where you are right now. Next, I've got 2/5 plus 2/10. I'm just going to fold this down so I don't lose my spot. And I'm going to find a common denominator of 10. If I multiply these both by 2 over 2, I can get 4/10. Then when I add it up, I've got 2 plus 4 is 6, and I keep my same denominator of 10. And 6/10, I can divide them both by 2, and I can get 3/5 for a 6/10 is just fine. Sometimes you need that when you're changing it to decimals. Not today though. Alright, so this one is the same as half if you didn't notice, but I'm going to keep it as 3/6 because I want to, I could reduce this one as well, but I'm going to keep it as 3/6 for today. And I'm going to multiply it by 2/2, so I get a common denominator of 12. 3 times 2 is 6, and now I can add it up. 6 plus 2 is 8, 8/12 for an answer. And if I divide them both by 4, 8 divided by 4 is 2, 12 divided by 4 is 3, and I would get 2/3 on that one. It's just fine to leave it as 8/12 if you want to do that. 1/2 and 1/10. I have a common denominator of 10 for this one, so I'm going to multiply it by 5/5, because I know 2 times 5 will be 10, and I get 5/10, and I already know that 5/10 and 1/2 are equal. 5 plus 1 is 6, and I keep my denominator of 10, and I get an answer of 6/10. If I want to reduce it, I could divide both of them by 2 and come up with 3/5. 1/6 and 1/3 on this one. I'm going to multiply this by 2/2 to get a common denominator of 6. So then I've got 1/6 plus 2/6 equals 3/6. And I know 3/6 is the same as half. Remember, if I'm going too fast, you can pause the video if you need to. 6 and 12, a common denominator on this one will be 12. So if I multiply 1/6 by 2/2, I can get 12 as my common denominator, and 1 times 2 is 2. Now all I have to do is add down. 2 plus 4 will be 6, and I keep my same denominator of 12, and I know that 6/12 is the same as half, so we'll just leave it just like that. 1/4 and 2/8. If I multiply this by 2/2, I can get 2/8, and these are equal. Just like we talked about today, it's just like that candy bar, and if I'm not changing the value. If I cut it into 4 equal parts and I shade 1, I've got 1/4. If I cut it this way, I still have 1/4, but now I can also call it 2/8. 1/4 and 2/8 are exactly the same number. They are just written in a different way. Just means you've got smaller pieces. So now I've got 2/8 plus 2/8. 2 plus 2 is 4. Keep my same denominator of 8, so I get 4/8, and I know that's the same as half. 1/5 plus 2/10. Let's multiply them both by 2/2 and get 2/10. 2/10 plus 2/10 will equal 4/10. If I divide them both by 2, I could get 2/5. And that would be my smallest one. This one, we'll multiply it by 2/2 and get 2/14. I chose that 14 because that denominator was 14. That was my common denominator. And now I just add them up. 4 plus 2 is 6, and I've got 6/14, which is a fine answer. But if I wanted to reduce it, I could divide them both by 2, and I get 3/7, which is a smaller fraction. They're just equal. 1/4, 1/3, and 3/12. Whew, we've got 3 of them to add on this one. Definitely a challenge. Our common multiple for these 3, this would be a triple then if we did it. And we've practiced this before. 4, 3, and 12. The one that they all have in common is 12. So I'm going to change 2 of these. And I want these both to have 12 as a denominator. So I've got 12th, 12th, and 12th. I'm going to multiply this one by 3/3. 4 times 3 is 12. 1 times 3 is 3. This one I'm going to multiply by 4/4. 3 times 4 is 12. 1 times 4 is 4. Now I need to add up all of my numerators. 3 plus 3 is 6, plus another 4 is 10. And my denominator stays the same, 12. I could reduce this if I wanted to, and I could make it 5/6 by dividing them both by 2/2. Common denominator for this one, again, if I did a triple then, the one that would go right in the middle would be a 10. They all have 10 in common. So let's make 10 our common denominator. And I'm going to multiply this one by 5 over 5 and this one by 2 over 2. Let's finish this up. 5 tenths, and this one would be 2 tenths. Let's add our numerators. 5 plus 2 is 7, plus another one is 8. And I would get 8 tenths. Let me double check that. 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, 8 tenths. And if I wanted to reduce that, I could call it 4/5 by dividing them both by 2. This one, our common denominator would be 14. I'm going to multiply both of these by 2 over 2 because I know 7 times 2 will get me 14 as that common denominator. 2 times 2 is 4, so 4 14ths is equal to 2 sevenths, and 1/7 is equivalent to 2 14ths on that one. Let's add our numerators. 4 plus 2 is 6, plus another one is 7, and keep our common denominator of 14. Did I do it right? 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. And that's exactly the same as half. All right, getting down there now. Last one. I'm just going to fold this so I don't lose anybody because that's a lot of writing today. We've got an 8 and 8, and let's make this one a denominator of 8. 2 times 4 will give me 8, so 1 times 4 is 4. Let's add our numerators. 4, 5, 6, 6 over 8, and I can reduce that. If I divide both of them by 2, I can make it 3 over 4. All right, thanks for working with me today.